So to get started on this hip purse, I have kind of laid out all of the pieces that we're going to need here. And you're going to see that we need to start with the purse main. It's going to be 8.5 by 20 inches. The purse handles are going to be 4 inches. Mine are 50 inches. You can do what you want on that. A 12-inch zipper is going to be easier to cut off at some point. You need the 2 D-rings, 1.25 inch by 1 inch. And then the pocket, if you choose to put a pocket on, I cut this one 6 by 12 and we're going to fold it in half. And then these are going to be that we're going to put on the D-rings because the quilted fabric to put in the purse part is too thick for a sewing machine. Okay, so to get started on this, to make things a little easier, I went ahead and serged around all of my 2 pieces here. And then you take the 8.5 by 20 piece, you take your 2.5 inch ruler, and then you cut off one end. So I did not serge these pieces because that's where my zipper's gonna go. So for the handles here, I have taken a 4-inch wide piece, I have folded it in half, then folded it in half again each. I will then fold it to the center and I'm going to sew on each side of it all the way down to make my handle. And on my purse D-ring portion, I did the same thing, 4 inches, folded it in half, then fold it in half to the inside. That's to get rid of all the raw edges, and I will sew on each side of that. So when we come back, that portion will be done. When we get ready to sew the straps, you can kind of see I have sewed, just made 2 all the way down, 2 strips all the way down. And so we're going to do the same part with the part that goes into the D-rings. So again, I'm folding them in half and in half again. And I'm going to use not the side of my foot, but I'm going to pick something that'll kind of be even on both sides. Okay? I'm stuck. So the other side here also now. You can see that I changed my thread to black on this. You can do if you want to accent your piece, you can certainly do that. Okay, and then this piece here that's going to go on the 2 D-rings, I am going to fold it in half and I'm going to cut it in half. Okay, now we're going to work on the pocket piece. Like I say, you might not want a pocket on your purse, but we're going to show you how to do that in case. And I am going to use this side for my outside of my purse. So I'm going to put my right sides together and fold it in half. And I'm going to start at the fold end. I'm going to come in a little bit and I'm going to sew off and leave an opening. And then I'm going to come back down and sew back around all the way around so I can turn the pocket inside out. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to sew down a couple inches here, back stitch it, and then I'm going to sew off of it. And then I will pick it up about, maybe about a 3-inch opening here, 2.5-inch opening, and then I'm going to start again. As you can see, I'm kind of sewing right on my serge line here, all the way around. So when you do get to the corners, you do have to stop and pivot it. And there again, I'm going to sew all the way around. My right sides are together. And then pivot one more time. Okay, so after I've sewed 3 sides of the pocket, I have turned it inside out and I have my opening here, and now I'm going to go press it, and I am going to sew around the very edges of it, but you do not sew where the folded line is, and that will be the top of our pocket. Yes, or you can sew it. I guess it really doesn't matter. Okay, we'll be back. So to do some pre-work before we put the bag together, I'm going to take the D-ring and I'm going to slide it through, and I'm just going to put a stitch to hold it in place, so when we get ready to put it in the bag, it stays together. Okay? It's thicker than I thought it was. So what I'm just going to kind of do is kind of iron down this pocket the best I can to make it as flat as I can. Sometimes if the quilted material is too thick, you might want to just take a regular piece of fabric and have that be the inside of the pocket, and then it's not as thick. Okay? Okay, so we're going to take the 2.5-inch strip we cut off. It's laying right side up, and the zipper is laying right side down on that. And you can kind of see, because I have a longer zipper, I'm going to kind of center it in the 2.5-inch piece, the 2.5 by 8.5-inch piece a little bit more. So I do have my zipper foot on, and I'm going to actually move my needle even over a little bit more because I want to sew close to the zipper, but I don't want to sew the zipper. Okay, so here we go. I don't think I can move my needle over too much. I'm going to start with my zipper foot a little bit pretty close to my zipper, but not on the zipper. The right side of the fabric is up, and the zipper is, the right side of that is down. Okay, when I pull this out, then I'm going to roll the zipper over, and I'm going to top stitch along here to hold down the backing piece to the zipper. So you have to roll that zipper underneath the top portion here. You might have to hold on to that so it doesn't roll in, and then you want to just top stitch. I'm top stitching the zippers right side up now, and I've rolled the top piece back so I can just top stitch. Stuck. This just kind of holds the zipper in place. Okay, so now we're on to the big section here now. There again, the right side of the purse is up and the zipper is right side down. Make sure your sides match the two sides here. And you can see that the zipper is right along the top of the right side of the purse. So even though you're looking on the bottom part of the zipper, you're still going to kind of have a feel for that. So you just kind of want to get that close. Be careful not to stitch over the zipper. I'm stuck on that. Okay, now we're going to roll the purse side back over, and we're going to put that zipper down underneath again, and we're going to top stitch it again like we done, except this time I got to move my zipper feet to the other side so I can get close. And because I had adjusted my needle, I'm going to have to move my needle even over back some more this way. You can kind of see the needle, so we can have the zipper part laying down, and this part's going to be top stitched here. Kind kind of see I'm just kind of top stitching along the top of the purse there. Okay. Okay, we're going to go back now and finish the pocket piece that we had ironed and turn right side out. I'm just going to top stitch. This was my folded edge up here. So if you choose, you do or do not want to top stitch. It doesn't matter. You do what you want. So then I am going to actually use the inside of my foot here to sew this first, because then when I go to sew it on the purse, I will sew it closer to the edge. So more or less I'm just top stitching the pocket. There again, you might not even choose you want a pocket. Sometimes a cell phone fits in it. It all depends how big you make it. Because the purse is always adjustable, you can make it whatever size you really want to make it. Okay, now with this being top stitched, you need to put this on the purse part next, because once you do the sides, you cannot add this pocket. So this here is our purse. And of course we will fold it in half right sides to sew it together, but in order to get this pocket on, you will put wrong sides together. You will center this pocket folded side here, but it needs to be below the zipper. So this is going to be our opening. We will not sew, and now I'm going to top stitch around it after I have centered it, you know, on the two sides, but you do need to be fairly close to the bottom so you do not catch the zipper on top. Okay, so now we're ready to attach the pocket, and Diane, who's sitting over here so quietly, said I should have used the other side of my quilted fabric, because this is pre-quilted fabric. I just didn't like it. So anyway, the opening is down here that we will not sew. So when we close the purse bag up, the opening, we want to put a Kleenex in or a cell phone or something. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to top stitch around the three sides, leaving this opening, and then we'll be back. I don't know, do you think they need to see this? I hope not, or do you think? Okay, so in sewing the pocket on, when I first start, I definitely do a back stitch a couple of times, because there's a lot of pressure on the two corner points of the pocket. So you can kind of see I'm trying to top stitch and be very straight with this. I do have it pinned on. I am going to back stitch the pocket also a little bit. Again, you're only going to top stitch on three sides of this so you don't sew your pocket closed. Move those pieces. Okay, now your pocket is attached securely. We are just about done. Okay, the next part of our purse is here. These are what we're going to attach the straps to, but since the straps were quilted and it was so thick, it's usually too bulky by the time you sew the right sides together. So, but I did put interfacing in this black material, and it might be a little thick also, but I just think you need that extra strength for those straps and stuff. So I'm just going to tack down now these. I've attached them. I have moved in about 1.25 inches, and the reason I do that is because by the time you sew the sides up, you just only have this little bit left in here to work with when you're pushing it through. So I am going to tack down these two corners first of all. Okay, so are we rolling?
Okay.
Okay, now this is probably the hugest part of making this whole purse. Once you have your pocket attached, we've attached what we're going to put our handles onto here, and we're ready to sew this closed. But if you do not open this zipper halfway through, you will not be able to open your purse to get it open. So you can kind of see I've opened up quite a bit of the way, and now I'm going to line up. Your handles do have to be inside, so when you pull this through, you know, they'll show up, and you'll see that here more clearly. But I am going to line up the corners here. There again, because I have serged mine, I'm going to put my line right a little bit below the serge line here. And when you get here to where the zipper is open, you, of course, definitely do not want to sew over your pins, but you do want to make sure all of this is lining up and kind of where the zipper would be closed if it was closed. If that makes any sense.
So when do you put the other strap on?
The other strap will be that'll be our final thing to do.
Okay.
Okay, so there again, I'm just kind of pin a few places here. Right sides together. The zipper's open, so I can turn it right side out.
But not open beyond where you're sewing, because otherwise it
Exactly. Yeah, you can see I opened it about 3/4 of the way, but thank you, Diane, because you're right. They would have a zipper that wouldn't close. Okay, there again, I'm going to go ahead and start stitching, and I'm going to just go a little bit above my serge that I have. Now, if you don't have a serger, you certainly can zigzag it, and that works out absolutely perfect too. And you can see because the bottom was on the fold, I did not have to sew on the bottom. Now when you're coming up to this zipper, you want to be careful, and I recommend only using the plastic zippers. So when I go over my zipper, I'm going to kind of backstitch that, go over it a couple times so it always will stay closed. Okay, and then when I come up to this corner, you just kind of want, you can kind of see just keeping the same line here, but with my needle down, I'm just going to twist it, and you can kind of see that we're going to be going over these handle type of thing here. And when I do go over the handles, I definitely go over those a couple times too. I just never want my purse to fall apart. Well, my thing got stuck. You can kind of see again, this was where my other purse handle is going to be. Okay, now this part here just gets a little trickier because you want to make sure that your zipper does not separate on you. And there again, I'll go over that zipper just a couple of times so it kind of locks it in place there. Okay. Okay, at this point, you can feel very comfortable in trimming off your excess zipper here on both sides, because you can kind of see where I left it open about 3/4 of the way. Okay, and then you can kind of get your hand in there to finish opening it up, and so you can turn it. And then I kind of grab the corners with my thumb, twist it over so I can get a nice crisp turn on both corners. And because it's serged, you know, it should not fray at all here. This here up here is just a little bit thicker because of having that extra bulk with this in here also. Oh, my zipper better. Okay, you're going to turn those right side out. And then you kind of just want to play with it to make sure you have it, you know, kind of tucked in here and stuff, tight. You can go back and top stitch this if you'd like. I never have. I just always have so much weight and so much stuff in my purse anyway. Okay, so this is where we're at now, and we need to put our handles on, and our purse will be complete. Okay, so for our handles here, because it is a raw edge here, and we're literally just going to be turning it in through the purse and then sewing it again, I am going to zigzag this end here closed just so that I don't get any frays or ravels. So I'll do that on both ends here.
With a pretty narrow zigzag stitch.
Thank you, Diane. You can kind of see I'm kind of going back and forth on it just to make sure that they don't come unraveled.
And like chaining so that you can do both ends at the same time.
Thank you. Okay, so with that complete there, now another goofy part, you just want to make sure you don't have your handles twisted. So you're going to literally take this handle here, and you really want to make sure that your sewing is kind of to the back of the purse. So you're going to run it through here, face it to the back. So we'll kind of hold on to our handle so it doesn't get twisted on us. Take this one here and go through this handle right here. And you try to want to make these two pieces pretty equal. Maybe. And then I am going to take a bigger zigzag and I'm going to go over this again. And since I still have the black thread in, I am going to, what do you think, Diane? Should I go back to the white thread or should I just leave the black thread on here?
It's whatever preference.
Okay, well, we're just going to go ahead and leave it on here. I am going to make this zigzag just a little bit wider, though, to kind of cover up what I have here, and maybe just a little bit longer. Okay, so we're just going to... And you do have a lot of thickness here.
So go slow.
So go slow. And definitely kind of do it a couple of times, because you definitely don't want to lose your purse. And there again, we will chain stitch. And ladies, you will have made your own hip bag purse. Even though this does show up in the front, and maybe I would probably stitch it a little bit tighter in that so it'd look a little nicer. But there we have a completed hip purse. Just kind of put it around you like this.